And they ran up to his office and they're like,
Menahem,
hey, Menahem,
Menahem.
somebody just called in a bomb threat. And he's like, you go tell them to go fuck themselves. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tequila Jimmy and La Gringa show, where we discuss everything and anything pop culture. I'm your host, Tequila Jimmy, along with my beautiful sidekick, La Gringa.
Thank you. Hi, guys.
Today, we're diving into the action-packed world of canon films. Everything from breakdancing to ninjas to Leatherface. A little bit of arm wrestling, lots of karate, and of course, many explosions.
Oh, that's so much fun. Yeah, Canon Films had this real, like, no holds barred, I would call it no holds barred approach to, like, the way they made films. And they left a real huge
Very
mark.
unique. You guys are going to dig this
culture.
episode, I promise you, especially when you hear who was behind the company. But anyway, before we do anything else, pour yourself a drink. Visit the local candy man. One more time. And then sit down and enjoy the show.
Yes.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. Canon Films was the brainchild of Menahem Golan and Yaron Globus. I'm sure you guys have seen the name Golan Globus across your screen at some point in your life because they are responsible for so many things that are staples in pop culture.
So many movies in the 80s, so many.
Yes.
And they were Israeli cousins.
Yeah, they
Israeli
actually,
cousins.
They were, as children, they were passionate about American films.
Menahem used to he was obsessed with films. He used to love watching. He was like, he really watched the films early when he was a child. Like,
He studied them and he tried to recreate them at a very young age. Long story short, they became filmmakers and they started making films in Israel. And they were mostly known for releasing skin flicks, like just movies with naked chicks running all over the place, and that was more important than the story. You know?
It was about 1967 when they started their film their production company.
Yes,
and
they made a film called Lemon Popsicle.
Lemon Popsicle and is in Israel.
Right. And this movie to say it was a success was an understatement.
Yes.
Israel had 3.5 million people. And on its opening weekend, 1.3 million people saw the movie.
That's like almost half the
That's
population.
like of Israel. So needless to say, they became filthy rich off this movie because it was so successful. And this was also a skin flick. This is just,
just another
TNA.
skin flick.
This is TNA
and
all over the place.
Frontal.
Very frontal, hairy.
Yeah,
hairy bushes.
It was a little too,
Yes. Welcome to the jungle.
Very, very frontal nudity.
Yeah. So,
and it was the number one film in Israel.
Yes.
And still to this day. To this day,
it's no film has beaten it.
So of course they wanted us to come in and start competing. Start competing with
they
the big
they
guys
saw
in
the
the
success.
80s.
Yeah. Imagine your movie does really well. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I got some serious
got some chops.
Now I got some serious chops here. I'm gonna go at these people. So they came to Hollywood.
Yeah,
and
early 80s, they came into Hollywood.
Yeah, and they had a ton of money from the success of Lemon Popsicle, so they were able to afford a lot of things that most beginning studios wouldn't be able to afford. So they purchased a failing studio called Canon Films. It was a studio that was on its way out, and they purchased everything that they owned.
Yes, they used to have this. They had the style of very low budget, low budget and just high production, just really quick.
Yeah, little money, quick movies. Make the movie in 2 months, and I don't want it to cost me any. I don't want it to cost me any.
No, Menahem.
He was a larger than life personality.
Yes.
Menahem Golan has a reputation for
just loud and getting the job done.
And he's like, you do not tell this man no.
No, and he was a very, very well-rounded. He was a director. He was a screenwriter. He was a producer.
Yeah, he was a very talented guy. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And
very driven. Very driven,
and he had
man.
this. Of course, nobody could talk about him without or tell his stories without impersonating him because he had that really thick Israeli accent.
Oh, and he was and just his personality was it's so funny when you hear people tell back the stories.
Yeah,
about him.
the time that when they had a little bit of success, they were able to afford a building for Canon Films in Beverly Hills.
Yes, that was their
And
headquarters.
I remember somebody, because they were Israeli, so you still had the hatred and stuff, that still goes on every day. But long story short, somebody called in a bomb threat to the studio.
Yeah.
And they ran up to his office and they're like,
Menahem.
Somebody just called in a bomb threat. And he's like, you go tell them to go fuck themselves. That's basically...
That's his personality.
Yeah.
He was just like, nothing's going to stop me from making this.
Yeah, and he was also a very cutthroat. So they were making another movie... I think
Over the Brooklyn Bridge with Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould, who was a well-known actor too.
In the 70s and 80s, if you guys look him up, Elliot Gould, you would recognize him right away.
Yeah. Anyway, they got into some kind of argument on the set of one of the movies. That movie, right? Yeah, it was that movie. Yeah, they got into an argument on the set, and he called him a cocksucker.
Elliot Gould called Menahem.
Yeah, and Menahem Golan shut the production down for that. He's like, we're not making this movie until you apologize.
And he had to come back.
So
Elliot
he
Gould
put his tail between his legs and had to go apologize or he wasn't going to finish the movie.
Just so he can get the set back on. That's how much Menahem was just...
Yeah, and he was just always finding a way. He was known for writing scripts right in his office when there was a piece of a movie missing. He was okay, you know what? Everybody come, they kill everybody but the baby.
Yeah.
The ninja kill everybody. The baby live, and that's how baby get to America.
They need to come up, and everyone was like, and that was the plot. That was it. Okay, go.
In one of the movies, he's like, I wanted the music like a poltergeist. But Menahem, sir, Poltergeist was a 100-piece orchestra.
100-piece orchestra.
You stupid idiot. You hired 50 musicians, you have them play it twice. That's the kind of shit that he would do. Just another really, really good one. Another really good. There's so many good Menahem Golan stories.
So funny.
But another really good one is when they were making King Solomon's Mines. Who had a sequel called Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold, which I've seen many times, but I don't remember I've probably seen King Solomon's Mines, but I don't remember it much. But I do remember the second one.
But I do know the story.
Yeah. But anyway, this story, for sure. So he wanted, he's like, I wanted the Stone Lady. And of course, they were like, okay.
Okay, we get the Stone Lady.
So they got Sharon Stone. And Sharon Stone is the one who wound up, being in King Solomon's Mines. But when Menahem Golan saw the movie for the first time, he's like, who the fuck is this bitch? And they're like, sir, that's the Stone Lady, Sharon Stone. He's like, not her, the one from Romancing the Stone.
Kathleen Turner is talking about.
He wanted Kathleen Turner and they got him Sharon Stone and he was not happy about that.
That's hysterical. This guy was he's just a piece of work. We watched a documentary and just these stories these people were telling.
Yeah, you'll piss yourself.
We were dying. This guy is hilarious.
Yeah, what was that movie that we did see? Delta Force.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a Chuck Norris movie. We're going to talk about the movies a little bit later, but in Delta Force, there's a scene with this lady she was on the plane and the plane was hijacked and... was it a plane or a bus? It was a plane, right? It was a plane, yeah. Okay, I couldn't remember. Anyway, that's... Anyway, the plane was hijacked and the lady was she was trying to, I think, get to they were taking her husband. Now I remember. They were taking her husband to the front and she had to do the scene over and over and she was exhausted and Menahem Golan directed this movie and she's like, sir, I can't do this.
It was the pilot. No, the pilot said he couldn't do it anymore.
No, that was another story. This is another lady.
Oh, okay.
This is another lady who told him. I know the pilot story. Yeah, that's another one. Right. But this story is about the lady who's like, I'm tired. I can't do this. I'm gonna die. And he's like, do it and then die.
Do it and then die.
Yeah, the pilot story is when he pulled the gun on the pilot.
He pulled an Uzi on
because he had to have the pilot flying these huge bomber jets, for a war movie, and
he was tired.
He was exhausted, and Menahem Golan did not want to start production, so the story goes that he pulled a gun on the guy and goes, "Get your ass in that plane and fly."
A gun, an Uzi. You go and you do it.
That's the story with
the
pilot.
He just does not stop. There was when he first was making the films in Israel. There's a story about his wife came to visit, and they were doing a thing, and they wanted a baby. And so the wife, he took the baby from his wife's arms and said, we put him in the basket. So he put him in the basket, and they were going, and the baby was about to fall out, and the wife went to go and get the baby. And when
never during the shot.
No, never during the shot.
Never during the shot. Never. Oh. Fuck the baby.
Seriously. This guy he's a piece of work.
So,
and his cousin on the other, because Menahem because he's just a personality. He was the face of the company.
Yeah.
And his cousin, he was
the opposite.
Yeah. He was the negotiator. He was the one who financed the films.
Yeah, he was the brains, the businessman, the guy who was able to make deals. You know, he was a deal maker. He was a go-getter. Without Yoram, Menahem Golan would not have been successful.
Yeah, together
the way
they were
because
perfect.
He was the one that was able to convince people to invest in movies and in their company.
They were
general.
just the best salesmen. That's people say how they were the most amazing salesmen.
Yeah, negotiators. These guys
they wouldn't schmooze. They would not.
These guys were such hustlers. Okay,
yeah.
Look, listen to this hustle. These guys would draw up posters with poster. Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson. I don't even know if they asked Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson to do the movie at the time, but honestly, I really have no idea. It's possible that they did this and then they were like, we'll get them later. But they would put these posters together and then travel around to different companies telling them they had this badass movie.
Yeah.
But they had no movie. All they had was the poster.
No script, just a poster.
Yeah, and long story short, these people would finance these movies, and then with that money, they would go and make the movie and then deliver the movie.
Yes,
and
yes.
that's a hell of a hustle. It's like tell someone you got something, you want to buy it, then they buy it, and then you tell them, okay, let me finish up on it. But really, you're just starting.
You're just starting on it.
You haven't done anything on it. You know what I mean?
They just had a knack. They had a knack for just turning out just a very low budget films, but out in a second, just out. The production was so
every single
fast.
movie, Menahem Golan, for the most part, that every movie he made was a huge blockbuster. It's going to be the next big film, the next action star.
And he was just convincing. If he doesn't work for me, if he doesn't work on this film, he's a moron. He's an idiot.
He's a loser. Tell him to come and join the winners.
Yeah. He's so funny.
Yeah, it's like that.
And then I just noticed he would never there was no time to fix what they already had. They would never make it better or just, it was probably that's good, cut, film, print.
Yes. Print, cut. Print. He's like Ed Wood. Yeah.
Yes.
Ed Wood was known to oh, perfect.
And they would say, let's do it again. And you're like, okay, that's okay. We'll fix it next time. They're going to fix it in the next movie, instead of this movie. But they were so good at negotiating and getting everything that ended up
these guys, let me just give so some facts about what these guys were able to pull off. So one big one was and the movie was fucking atrocious, but it was Masters of the Universe. To be able to acquire the rights to make a movie for Masters of the Universe at the time that they did it. Masters of the Universe was
He-Man
and the Masters. Everybody knows He-Man, but it was the biggest dominator of the boy market.
Toys, cartoons,
they owned
comic books,
boys at the time. Masters of the Universe, they had a lot of competitors, but they were at the top at the time. So to acquire that, the rights to make a movie you need to be a good negotiator in general, just a good hustler, and they were able to do that.
Who else did they get?
Superman.
They got Superman.
Yeah, and they wound up making a Superman movie, which of course is the worst one. But Christopher Reeve was in it, Gene Hackman was in it. So these people were able to not only get the rights. Margot Kidder was in it.
Yeah, everybody was in that movie.
All the people who were in the Superman movies,
and they even had the music too for the John Williams. John Williams. Yeah. They had
they were just able to pull a lot of stars, and they saw that in old Hollywood, like in the 1950s, all the Hollywood celebrities had contracts with the studios,
with MGM.
Studios would always give stars multi-picture deals. It wasn't never one picture. It's if you want to work for us, you need to sign for 3 movies, 4 movies. So
they did.
Menahem Golan picked up on that. And then they started wanting to do the same thing with people. So they got people like Charles Bronson.
Yeah, they ended up buying the rights to what's the movie? Death Wish.
Yeah, Death Wish. Yeah.
The first one came out in like 1974.
Right.
And they decided, 8 years later, it was a good idea to make it in 82.
Yeah.
And it was their first American.
Right, Death Wish 2,
American film, because the rest of them were all like foreign films.
Exactly. And Death Wish 2 was, just like Death Wish 1, it has a lot of violence toward women in the worst way,
Yeah, we watched it. I've never
Very
seen
exploitative.
I've never seen Death Wish
Exploitative.
Death Wish 1. I've never seen 2, 3, 4. I've never seen them before.
Yeah. And
so
she saw them
we
this
watched
week.
them. Yeah, we decided we did a Canon Films marathon this week.
Yeah, the films that that I had seen as a kid, but I hadn't seen in a long time.
That movie was a little too. It was. It's just
pretty intense.
Yeah, trigger warning.
It's pretty intense. If you are sensitive to that stuff, I would avoid that.
And it was very controversial back in the day. I remember they said that was just
above all, it was unnecessary.
It was unnecessary. I think they had to cut it.
Yeah.
They had to cut out a bunch of scenes for the British market.
I mean, I guarantee you they cut out people eating pizza before they cut that out of the movie. I don't know why they left that in there.
It was just...
But anyway.
Anyways, but yeah, but that's how they were. They were just very exploitative. They were just skin flicks. They were still kind of like that way when they were coming into American films. Yeah. I mean, you got what is that? The ninja movie was the first.
Enter the Ninja.
Enter the Ninja.
There's a really, that movie's...
my gosh.
If you grew up in the 80s, you probably at least saw the cover at the video store or Revenge of the Ninja.
That was 1981.
Those ninja movies. Ninjas, for some reason, like in the mid 80s, they were huge. Like everybody was a ninja I remember one year everyone was a ninja for Halloween, and I'm like, damn, there's a lot of ninjas around here.
Canon Films.
It was the Canon Film.
They brought the ninja, craze in the 80s.
If you guys were around in the 80s, I know you know what you're talking about. That one Halloween, everybody was a ninja. Whether it was a white ninja or a black ninja or a red ninja. But there was always a ninja, and there was one Halloween where if you didn't have a ninja costume, you were lame. You know what I mean? So, and that was all because of Canon Films with those movies. And the first one has a really funny story because I think one of the actors quit on the movie, or got fired. Remember?
Something like that.
So the guy who Enter the Ninja has the Japanese ninja, and then there's the American ninja that's also in it. And I think the guy, and I can't remember what his name is, but whoever was playing the American ninja role in the movie.
Was he German? Wasn't it this German guy?
No. The German guy is the guy that they got last minute. And that's the funny story. The funny story is that
he was,
that the guy quit, so they wound up having to find somebody who had some kind of athleticism. And the guy had never even heard of the word ninja.
Yeah, he had no idea. That's right. He had no idea what a ninja even was.
Right. And they wound up hiring him, and he has this really thick German accent. And they overdubbed him in the entire movie. And if you watch the movie, it's probably the funniest overdubbing
so funny
you'll ever hear. It's like if you dubbed a Chinese guy with an
American voice. Oh my God, yeah, you could. The dubbing was so funny, but that was like most of their movies. They used a little bit of a dubbing. Remember in Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. They used a little dubbing in that.
That girl, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Hola chulo, baila conmigo.
They were just so silly. Canon Films was so silly when it came to movies. Menachem wanted to do a horror movie, and he wanted to do a horror movie with the classic monsters. And they were like, Menachem.
Yeah, I want Bela Lugosi. I want the Boris Karloff.
He did, and they had to tell him.
But sir, they're dead.
They're dead. So they got
Peter Cushing.
Yes, Vincent Price.
Christopher Lee and Vincent Price.
And
of
this
course,
was 83, so they were older.
Yeah, they were
by far
old guys. And not only that, the movies, let's face it, none of the movies they were ever in had any kind of horror or scariness to it.
No.
They were great suspense movies, and I love them, don't get me wrong. I love Hammer horror films, which is what Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing are known for, But they're not scary.
No.
They don't scare anybody. You could watch that anytime, and you're never going to be frightened by anything you see.
Yeah, it was a PG. It ended up being a PG rating.
Yeah, so Menachem Golan, they sold him a horror movie, and when he got this movie, he was pissed.
Yes.
And they're like, these guys, there's no way to make a scary movie with these three old guys.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Like, how are you going to make a scary movie? Who are you going to scare with that? You know what I mean? So yeah, they wound up making the movie, and he wasn't happy. But going into one of my favorite, I guess, series of films by Canon Films, it's the one that I have a special place for in my heart. There's another one, but this Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. Oh God, I love those movies so much.
They're so much fun. If you guys have ever seen it, Breakin', that's when Beach Street. I think Beach Street 2 was out that time, and the Beach Street was
we
first.
We need to beat the Beach Street.
Yeah, we literally said that's what he's about. Yeah, we need to beat Beach Street.
He caught wind that they were making Beach Street. I think it was Paramount was making Beach Street. Yeah,
and he was like, we got to get out there, and they ended up releasing theirs like in a quick
and kicking Beach Street's ass left and right.
Breaking was so good. Now that movie, like I think it was the guys. It was Boogaloo Shrimp.
Oh yeah. Michael Boogaloo Shrimp Chambers, Adolfo Shabadoo Quinones.
Yeah, Shabadoo.
And Lucinda Dickey.
Lucinda Dickey. But oh my God, these guys were amazing.
They were real dancers and with real talent.
Lucinda Dickey was a gymnast.
Yeah, she was a gymnast, so she really didn't know the breakdancing thing. But I have a lot of respect for what she did. I heard she caught a lot of heat on the set for not being a breakdancer, like being the outside actor, because everybody else was a dancer,
like a professional dancer, except for her. She was the actor.
She was the only one that was a real actor, had been in something before.
Yeah, so the breakdancing crowd was kind of just... They shunned her a little
especially bit. From what Shabadoo was kind of mean to her.
Yeah, there was one of those interviews that people were doing during COVID, where they would have the Brady Bunch kind of on the screen. I forgot what it's called, like a Zoom thing, Zoom call.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you can tell in Lucinda Dickey's face that
she don't like him.
She don't like him, and he was like, you could tell he was trying to apologize. Yeah,
he was
to
being
her
very
in a way,
extremely nice to her, and
over the top nice to her, and you could tell by the way he was being nice to her that he was mean, and you could tell by the way she was looking at him that she would. Yeah,
she took some shit from him for sure.
Yeah,
he's since passed away, so.
Yeah,
he was an amazing choreographer, though. He's responsible for a lot of choreography work in film.
And you met him, right? At a
No,
con?
I met the other guy.
Oh, the Shrimp Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Boogaloo Shrimp. I always get him wrong.
I never got to meet him.
Boogaloo Shrimp had that broom dance.
The broom dance, the roof dancing.
Dancing.
The movie is just really epic. And, they had the little, hey, Kelly K, won't you come this way? I want to take you to a place where we all stay. I want to take you to a place where we all go, and we call this place The Miracles. Yeah, my homies Ozone and Turbo T are the combination that can't be beat. So come on, everybody, come along. As you guys can see, I've seen this movie a lot. That's been engraved in my brain since childhood.
Oh my God, wait. Speaking of rapping, Ice-T.
Ice-T, that's right.
Ice-T is in Breaking 1 and Breaking 2. Oh my God. And he's he's
80'd out.
80s out.
That's the best way to describe him.
It's just great. And he raps. He does a lot of performing and rapping.
It's really
in both those movies.
It's really classic.
Just a classic movie.
Yeah, classic Ice-T.
I enjoy. The first one is all right. The first one's good. They have like
Electric Boogaloo is what it's all about.
Where they had Lucinda Dickey, and the two,
and they have to save miracles.
No, that was part 2.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
But
you're talking about part 1?
Yes, part 1. The first one, they get together and they do like some kind of like dance competition and stuff. So, and they win the dance competition, and they, the uptight judges and everything at
they
first.
Were like, you guys can't dance here, you
oh
straight
my
dancers.
God, what was that song? Ain't nobody.
Yeah.
But
I
forget.
Me better.
I love the music.
They had a great soundtrack. They had a great. The Ice-T song was awesome too. It's called Reckless, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was listening to it working out the other day.
I'm gonna have to start breakdancing soon if we don't move on. Anyway,
it was so good. So the second one I actually enjoyed the second one so much better.
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
It was so much. It was fun. fun.
I enjoyed the second one so much. I forgot the first one. I always have to watch the first one to remember what it's about.
I know.
The second one is like tattooed in my brain.
Yeah, we did. When we had our little marathon and we watched part one, I was like, oh, that's right. It was a competition thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I always forget what the plot of the movie is.
And at the time, Lucinda Dickey was like considered like the canon go-to girl.
She was actually the Ninja 3, the dominant. So the Ninja movies came as those, and it was a few more Ninja movies. So I'll name them all right now. Why the hell not? So we had Enter the Ninja, which is the one with the overdubbed German guy playing the American. And then we had Revenge of the Ninja, which is the one where he had to make up
the beginning of the
in his
movie.
office because they're like, sir, we have the movie shot, but we don't really know like how this all came to be. And he's like, okay, so ninjas come, they kill everybody but the baby. The baby live and the baby go to America. There's your movie.
And that was it.
And that was it. It was written in his office.
In his office.
Right then and there. And then they're like, he had a way of like just making shit up on the fly, and then the next day somebody be shooting it.
Yes,
that's how it works.
And everybody has great things to say about him. I mean, they
nobody else was doing that. Who else was giving their, who else? And he would be like, there was a guy who was like, I'm gonna cut my finger off for every day that this movie doesn't get made, and he's like, that's good because I'm ready to cut anything. I'll cut my balls to make the movie.
Yes, yes. He didn't care. He's like, I'm one up you. He was just. Crazy.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
He was a big
driven,
personality.
Big personality.
Big personality. Some of the most successful movies that they had were the Chuck Norris movies, like Delta Force, Missing in Action, Invasion USA.
If there was one thing that Canon Films did, like most studios, they would put out 6 movies a year, let's say.
How many do you
Canon Films were like over a dozen, 24 movies a year, I think.
That's insane.
It just, even with the ones we were talking about earlier, it was like, those were all done in like 83 and only 84. I mean, we've only have gotten to 85 with the Chuck Norris movies. This is just 85.
Yeah. The amount of movies that they released in the short period of time it could probably be a world record for all I know, because they get movies done so fast,
and
for very little money for the most part. Until later on, they started spending a lot more money on movies.
But they would consider a lot, which was still very low.
A funny story about the Missing in Action movies is that they made both of them simultaneously. And then Missing in Action 1 was supposed to be released before first. Missing in Action 2, but it turns out Missing in Action 1 was a piece of shit when they saw it. But Missing in Action 2 was awesome. But Missing in Action 2 was actually a good movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they're like, we cannot release Missing in Action before Missing in Action 2, or nobody will go see Missing in Action 2, which is actually a good movie. So they said, fuck it, and they just released Missing in Action 2 first.
Part 2.
So people are like, where's part 1? I'm going to see Missing in Action 2, but there's no part 1. And they're like, don't worry about it. Just go see it.
Just go see it. It's coming. It's coming.
Just go see it.
Oh, my God.
So we were getting, going back to the ninjas. So there was Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, then Ninja 3, The Domination, which starred Lucinda Dickey as like the lead character, where she's like, she gets possessed by a ninja or something, and then she becomes possessed. A ninja.
They said it was like a mix between Flashdance, The Exorcist, and a ninja movie. That's how
she's
Canon
there
Films
dancing
work.
around, and then she's all possessed, like all fucking demonic and shit. And then all of a sudden, she's an expert in the martial arts.
It is like, that's how Canon Films were. They just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and it was not a believable thing at all. So that movie was a complete failure. And I remember seeing it in the video store and not even wanting to rent it.
Yeah,
like
Chuck Norris was one of those actors that they
approached him to do it. Remember? So they approached Chuck Norris to do it, and he declined because he refused to cover his face. He's like, if I'm on the screen, I need to be Chuck Norris.
It's like he would not do.
People
ninja
need to know
movies.
that it's me. Yeah, but like, people are gonna. I mean, I don't know what the reason is. Like, people are gonna know it's you. That fucking mustache will stick out.
Well, they signed a 7-film contract with him before he started any movies.
Yeah.
So he probably had a list of all these movies that he could do.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, if I'm gonna do 5 movies in 1 year,
and they had a lot of writers writing specifically for Chuck Norris and for Charles Bronson, because they considered them, they're like studio guys, you know.
In the beginning, in the early 80s.
This is the early, you know, the very beginning. The rise
mid-80s,
of Canon
yeah.
film. This is the rise.
This is coming with the rise of,
Yeah. So during their uprise, you know, those were the guys who they counted on for star power and for drawing power. And you know, they also did 2 more ninja movies. They did American Ninja and American Ninja 2. I was not a big fan of those movies, although they're not horrible. I'm not gonna shit on them.
I've never seen.
They're not, you know. I don't know. The other series is much better to me. At least the first 2 movies are much better. But that's just my opinion. Some of you guys might like American Ninja. I didn't like it too much. But you know, after that. We had all the
they would do kind of hit or miss. They would have like 9 crap films and like 1 good one. There was like Runaway Train in 1995.
Yeah, which I haven't seen.
That one actually has really good reviews.
Yeah, have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, okay, me neither. Yeah, but I do hear that it's like
we did
highly rated. I definitely got to see it.
The Chuck Norris. I've never seen a Chuck Norris film in my life.
Oh, I have.
I'm not.
My dad was like a huge Chuck Norris fan, so
yeah. The first Chuck Norris film I ever saw was with you, like yesterday, the day before,
Delta Force, right?
And it was actually really good.
You were crying.
I did. I was.
She was
crying.
I could not. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing crying during a Chuck Norris movie?
That's right. Oh my God, I had tears coming down my eyes.
I could not believe she was crying during the Chuck Norris movie.
It was so sad. The beginning part is just the guys who get on the plane, I just don't like it. Oh my God, it made me cry so bad. I mean, I'm talking Kleenex, bawling, just bawling. I mean,
like crazy.
Yeah, it hit me. I was so embarrassed. It was a Chuck Norris film making me cry. Like it gave me the feels. I can't believe you said something.
Of course I'm going to say something.
I'm so embarrassed.
That's material. I need it.
I cried.
I told you right then and there. I'm like, that's going on the show.
Oh my God, yeah. I cried during a Chuck Norris movie.
So yeah, what the hell were we talking? I already forgot what the hell we were talking about.
We were talking about Runaway Train, and then Delta. And then
Delta
Liam Neeson
was in the Delta Force. He was actually one of the Delta Force members.
I saw.
He's got such a small role. You'd have. It's like Where's Waldo?
We didn't see him. We saw in a footnote.
He's credited, so he's there. But
he's credited, and we spent the entire movie looking for him. But I guess he's one of the soldiers. Because first we were like, well, maybe he's one of the guys who stole the plane, and we're like looking at everybody. Well, maybe he's on the plane. Well, maybe he's here. I mean, we looked at everybody, and still, it's the end of the movie, and we still did not see Liam Neeson, but he's on there.
Anybody even looking like Liam Neeson?
But yeah,
no
yes.
Way. So they also had before Sylvester Stallone, they brought in Jean-Claude Van Damme, kind of like to start weaning out the action, like Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson.
Oh yeah,
because they were old.
That's one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
No, it's Breaking 1 that he's in.
He's in Breaking 1, the first one.
So if you guys go, and I'm gonna put this shit on this right now.
Oh my God,
I gotta show you guys this.
So good, because I never seen. I mean,
a lot of people don't even know about this. I told you about this.
Yes, you did, and when we watched it, I was like,
"This is a hidden gem in Breaking."
My God.
You guys go watch Breaking if you want to watch.
Because Jean-Claude Van Damme isn't really a fighter.
No, well, he knows martial arts to a degree.
He knows but choreography.
He's more of a dancer, and you can see in this movie.
He's a dancer, guys. He's a dancer.
Dancing his ass off in Breaking, and he's just like.
He's like totally got the moves. Like he's like busting like some, and he's not even good. And he's wearing the wrestling
just like he does in a kickboxer.
Yes, he's got his outfit on, and he's just like
and he's kicking people asses.
And he's like his hips are moving and grooving, and I'm like, oh my God, that's
you guys will see it on the screen now, but it is pretty funny. And of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme went on to act in my favorite Canon film.
Bloodsport. See, Tequila Jimmy is sporting the Bloodsport shirt.
Absolutely.
He's got the Bloodsport shirt on.
This is just, this is another one of those movies that I will forever hold here. I just love it. And I watch it like at least once a month, or maybe once every other month.
I like it. It's got Ogre in it. Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. I love that guy. It's Donald Gibb. Gibb. I love that guy.
He's awesome. He's Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. I'm sure you guys know. If you that picture, that cross-eyed dude just came to your mind.
And Forrest Whitaker. Oh,
Forrest Whitaker,
the Dayquil NyQuil
the
guy.
Dayquil NyQuil guy. If you guys missed the last episode, was it? I don't remember.
think the last or the
one of these last episodes we had Forrest Whitaker on the show.
Not on the show. Like, yeah,
he was on the show. Trust me, just go watch.
Yeah, you go watch.
Anyway,
that was hilarious.
Yeah. They managed to get Tobe Hooper, an awesome director.
Yes, I was going to say another one of your favorite movies was
Invaders from Mars.
Yeah, Invaders from Mars.
Yeah,
directed by Tobe Hooper.
Absolutely, and Tobe Hooper, of course, I have to mention him any chance I get because he is responsible for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was one of the best horror films ever made.
Best horror film.
He also directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. For Canon Films.
Yeah, Menahem, like after Tobe Hooper did the Invasion of Mars from Mars.
Invaders from
Mars. He wanted him to do a horror movie.
He wanted another Texas movie.
Yeah, he wanted another Texas movie.
And
so
Tobe Hooper
did it differently.
Yeah, he was a little reluctant to do it because he really was so happy with what he was able to accomplish with the first one. He didn't want to like put a shit stain on it.
Yeah.
So he decided that he was going to do it, but he wasn't going to write it with that kind of mentality that he wrote the first one, where everything is, grim, real, and raw.
Yeah, he said he wished he put a little bit more dark humor.
Yeah, like people playing with body parts and just shit that's really gross, but yet they're having fun doing it. Yeah, so that's what he means by
very dark humor. Now, if you guys remember the movie posters, or if you want to look it up, and Jimmy will put it right here. Yeah. But the movie poster of that movie is them in the Breakfast Club pose.
Yeah,
so it's the Breakfast Club poster, but them in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre cast, which when you look at that, you know right away.
Yeah, they copied a billboard. For the Breakfast Club and had the cast pose just like the billboard.
Just like that. And
that was the poster for the movie.
So it's like Menahem, of course, it's going to be a little bit of a comedy. I mean,
that movie was, in my opinion, awesome.
The movie was great. It was really good. It's got Dennis Hopper, which I'm not a big fan of.
Over-actor. Dennis Hopper, and his character is so fucking dumb in this movie. I mean,
oh my God.
First of all, like,
he's a cop.
And at the end of the movie, these guys are all wielding chainsaws, and he decides to come in with, instead of coming in with like two big ass shotguns or a fucking,
because you're a cop,
some kind of gun.
Yeah,
he comes in with chainsaws
against the chainsaw wielders.
And immediately, anybody with a brain is like, why is this guy coming? Why doesn't this guy just bring some kind of AR or something and take this guy out?
Yeah, so
they're just sitting there with a chainsaw. How hard is that?
Cop. Why is you using a chainsaw if you're a cop?
It's Canon Films. Exactly. But it has one of my favorite actors in horror, also, which is Bill Moseley, which you guys will know from the Devil's Rejects movies as Otis. But he plays Chop Top in this movie. And he's just hilarious. He's constantly burning the hanger.
The metal. He's got a metal hanger.
Fucking metal hanger. And he lights it. And then he scrapes on this plate that he has
on his
half
scalp.
open on his head.
He's
like, lick my plate, you dog dick.
It's so gross. It's disgusting.
Yeah, he is fucking hilarious in the movie, though.
It's a great movie.
And, and speaking of Chopped Up, it's Toy Time with Tequila Jimmy.
Because we're always going to show one of a sample of Jimmy's toy collection, because his toy collection is just ridiculous. And I'm telling you, every single podcast we are going to have, he's going to have a toy.
Something, maybe.
He's going to have a toy.
Don't promise everyone, because I don't know if that's true.
Well, no. Chances are, I would say 95%.
There might be a Toy Time missing one day, because I don't have any.
Yeah,
that's unlikely, though. I just have so many things. But anyway.
95% of the time, you will have a toy.
Let's start with Toy Time. First up is my man Chop Top. So as you can see, this is you can't really see, but there's a metal plate on the top of his head. Mm-hmm. There you go. You can see it right there. He comes with this hippie head too, which you guys got to see the movie.
This is Mezco.
Yeah, Mezco makes this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This was from the Fear line. Very, very highly detailed figures. Articulation is not crazy on them, but it's not bad. Mm-hmm. It's not like the 112s, but they're really nice. And This is a really, really good likeness of Chop Top. I think it's one of the best
nice.
ones ever made of him. And it's hard to find a Chop Top figure to begin with. There's a few, but this is one of the better ones.
Yeah.
And he comes with this dead zombie guy too. See that right there?
Yes.
All right. So I only have one more toy for you today. And that is...
It's hilarious.
Special K.
It's Kelly
From
K. Special K.
This
that
is
was
actually
her
a
nickname.
figure I just picked up.
Because,
it's from of
yeah,
course,
he
because
needed
it's
a
break-in.
break-in.
I needed
He
a
needed a
break-in
break-in
figure.
toy.
And the second they made a break-in figure, I needed a break-in figure. So
Yes.
I
And
got one.
It's actually a great illustration of her on the card.
Yeah, they did a really
but
nice job.
The toy is,
All the reaction figures, they're horrible. And
they're
I don't collect this
horrible.
line, by the way. I don't collect reaction figures per se, especially if they have other toy lines that make what they're making.
Yeah, it's just
This
we've never
here you're not going to
seen-
be able to get from another toy line. It's highly unlikely that anybody would be interested in licensing break-in at this point.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to buy that shit.
Yes.
Except us old folk.
This is true. This is true. I know, but I love the toys. I still like watching Break-In. We watch Electric Boogaloo. I think probably every 6 months.
Oh yeah, I have to watch that. That's why that rap is engraved in my brain.
I love it.
The way it is. Another movie we watch all the time
because
which
it's
is
great.
that
Because
we're watching
it's great.
and it stars Sylvester Stallone. And
I love it.
This is the movie that kind of changed the ball game in Hollywood in general, because up until then, people weren't getting paid, above $10-15 million per picture. So Menahem Golan really wanted Sylvester Stallone to work for Canon Films.
And this was on 1987.
Yeah, and Sylvester Stallone's like, I won't work for you guys. He basically rejected, and so he kept upping the price. Eventually, how much was it that they paid him? Like 20-25 million? I think.
Yeah, something like that ridiculous amount.
Yeah, so because Menahem Golan paid Sylvester Stallone $25 million to make Over the Top, an arm wrestling movie, which he directed.
That movie is so good. It's an arm wrestling movie. I mean, think about it. There's not really much to it. Wrestling. It's just watching two guys go for it. But Sylvester Stallone, he goes and he turns his hat around because he means business. When he turns
when you see that hat go around.
When you see that hat go around, it's like Rocky. It's like Rocky got hit for the last time, and he, Rocky comes back.
As dumb as it sounds, it's a fucking great movie.
It's
At
a
least
great
to
movie.
me, it is.
I love that movie. When I told you I love that movie, we're just crazy. We're just
I
crazy.
love that movie.
I love
too.
it. It's
You
like
know
the
I love that
dialogue is
movie.
just very basic. It's just a very basic storyline.
I'm sure we're probably amongst like 5 people that like it.
The father-in-law. Oh, in the movie, who goes and tries to get his son, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. Who was that actor?
He was from Scarface. He was in Scarface.
Oh,
What's his
Robert
face?
Loggia.
Yeah, Robert Loggia. He was such a jerk in that movie.
Yes,
He
that's
was
right.
such
Robert
a jerk.
Loggia. That's right.
I love that movie.
I couldn't put his face, but then when you said it,
Yeah, you remember now seeing him walking down the staircase.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
It's such a great movie.
He was a real dick in that movie.
He was. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, Over the Top is a fucking movie about arm wrestling with a little side twist of fathers trying to be a shitty father trying to make up for lost time
with his son, a young son.
Yeah, his young
12 years
son
old,
can't stand
13.
him for being such a shitty dad.
Yeah.
And overall, the movie, I like it.
I like it.
And it's just,
We give it
like,
2
if you like
thumbs
that
up.
type of movie, yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up for that one. And then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, they were able to make a Superman movie. Superman, mind you, Christopher Reeve is already Superman, and he's always going to be Superman for me, always. They had already made 3 movies, which the third one had Richard Pryor in it.
Yeah, it was all right.
And what do you mean all right? I mean, it's fucking fantastic. Don't
I like
ever
1
say
and 2.
it's all right again.
I like 1 and 2 so much.
They are better movies.
Yeah.
But don't ever say that.
But I've
an
never.
insult.
I think I've seen like Superman 4 because we watched, like I said, on our marathon, we popped in Superman 4, and oh my God, right from the beginning, the visual effects, you know how you have in the beginning of Superman, you have the names going through, the white names going through like with the effects afterwards. Oh my God, I am not kidding you. My 10-year-old probably can make better graphics on her computer. She could probably do better.
I could literally make...
he could make a better movie
God.
with the green screen.
I wish that I could have worked on Superman 4. I would have done a better job on
how they started
visual
out.
effects.
Didn't they say something about like the special effects guy was like, this is how much the first movie cost.
Yeah, they made the movie for $17 million.
17 million.
The first one had a budget of like 50 million or something like
30
that.
million, something.
35 to 50 million. I can't some number in the
Yeah,
some high
and they
number.
were going to do it, and they had to cut the budget. And you watch this movie, and you can tell that they cut
a lot
the
of stock
budget.
footage.
It's
like the
so
scenes of
bad.
Superman flying would always be the same scene, and then they would just change the background.
Yes, it was
Same thing for the nuclear guy, and the plot of the movie was kind of stupid. It was during a time of tension.
This is why Christopher Reeve said he would do it, because they told him, what do you want Superman to do? What do you want? And Christopher Reeve got to say, he was like, well, I want him to stop all the wars.
Yeah.
So
and this was during a time where, there's always the Cold War where, there was a lot of tension during the
nukes and all that.
And everybody, that was, Doomsday. So the movie was about Superman ridding the earth.
That one
all
is
nuclear weapons.
1987 as well.
Yeah.
They just keep
the 80s had a lot of tension with that. But he, the plot of the movie is that
so bad.
he has to rid the world of the nuclear weapons. And they wind up making
so he gets like he's kind of like he's fishing with a fishing net, and he grabs all the bombs.
Yeah,
and
he wraps them up in a net.
Wraps them up in a net.
And he throws them into the sun.
Throws them into the sun.
Yeah. And then out of the sun.
And then Lex Luthor steals a piece of Superman's hair and then combines
from the
museum and combines it with the radiation from the nuclear bomb in the sun and creates a person. So Lex Luthor happens to be God.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't even care that the story's that stupid. I would have been fine with that stupid story, but I'm not okay with the fact that
it was
they made a Superman movie that is shittier than the previous three. And the way it looks, forget the story, because you can make a movie, a sequel to a movie that sucks, but it usually looks better, and it's an improvement on the visuals at least.
You think it would get better and better. The budget would get better and better. No, not this one.
No, this was the opposite. This was like
so bad.
This was it's like this should have been part one, and
at least they
part
tried.
One should have been this one.
At least they stayed within the Superman. The arena of the Superman. Look at what they did in Masters of the Universe.
As I mentioned before, they got the license to Masters of the Universe, which was a huge deal. I already explained why. But unfortunately, they destroyed Masters of the Universe. I can't put it any other way. The movie was atrocious. As a child, when I went into the theater, I was really, really stoked. I mean, I even have a He-Man tattoo on my arm. I am a huge He-Man fan. I have the entire line of the original toy collection, and I played with those toys a lot as a kid. So you could imagine the excitement of a kid like me going in to see a movie about He-Man. And I walked in there, and it was Dolph Lundgren playing He-Man, which I didn't have a problem with. A lot of people did, but I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, he's Ivan Drago from Rocky.
Yeah, and what I had a main problem with is that it didn't feel like He-Man. The story was that he had to save the sorceress, which I guess that could be a He-Man story. But
they were on Earth.
Yeah, they were on Earth. They weren't on Eternia. And another thing that was really, really the bummer is that there were no real He-Man characters in the movie other than Man-at-Arms and Teela,
there was
right?
like 5 maybe. Because you had the bad guys, Skeletor,
and I think he was the only one. I saw Sauron. Evelyn, that's right. Played by Meg Foster with the crazy eyes.
Beastman.
Yeah. But I don't think they called him Beastman in the movie, though. They did?
Yeah, Beastman.
I don't know. I was so insulted when I saw this fucking movie as a kid that I swore I would never see it again.
It had nothing to do with He-Man at all. He didn't touch he used a gun. He-Man used a gun.
He used a gun. Yeah, he didn't forget the sword.
He used a gun.
It's a huge disappointment.
It was like a laser gun.
Put it this way, just to prepare to talk to you guys about it, I tried to sit through it again a few days ago.
I sat for it for the first time.
And she's asking me like, "Oh, what happens next?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I don't remember this movie because I erased it from my existence.
Yeah, Courtney Cox popped on the screen, and I was like, "Oh my God, Courtney Cox is in this." He's like, "I really don't remember this movie."
No, I knew Courtney Cox was in it. Remember when I saw her name on the screen? I remember I told you.
Yeah, because that's what I said. I was like, "Oh my God!" And you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Then after seeing her name on the screen, I'm like, "That's right. She plays one of the main characters in the movie."
Yeah, that's how much he forgot the movie.
Yeah, it's really bad, and we don't even need to discuss it anymore.
It just, I was
a huge
surprised.
disappointment.
I kept looking, and I said, did not one person who made this movie watch the damn cartoon?
And to this day, I'm still waiting for a good He-Man movie. So somebody please make one.
Oh yeah, well,
really
it was funny
would love
with
to see one in my lifetime.
There was a quote that Sylvester Stallone was on the set of Masters of the Universe, and he looked at everybody. He's like, "Oh my God,
you gave this guy lines."
Yeah. Talking about Dolph Lundgren, like it was just the wrong person. I was upset with that. It was like, what was the wrong body type? Yeah. He didn't look like.
Yeah, they should have had like some. Of course, it's hard to find like a bodybuilder that can act.
Yeah, they can't do Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's not like Dolph Lundgren
he
can
would
act.
be like, "I have the power."
I have the power.
Yeah, you can't do, because that would be the only person that would be able to play
Arnold
He-Man.
would have been an awesome. But imagine Arnold with a He-Man wig on. That's pretty comical on itself. I think I might try to Photoshop that.
Oh my God, there's no way. Arnold would never be able, he would never sound like Prince Adam.
No.
He would never.
It wouldn't have worked. He had the body for it for sure, but they would have had to they would have to superimpose another head.
They could have dubbed him like they do everybody else.
Yeah. Hey, that's true. They would just replace his head.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious. But God, Skeletor, it was a white, plastered.
Frank Langella was the skeleton, who was a really good actor.
He's a great actor.
And people couldn't understand why you would hire him and then put makeup on his face, because he was a very physical, he was very good at acting with his face.
Yeah, but his it looked like plaster. It wasn't yellow, because Skeletor has a yellow face, yellow skull.
Yes, and he was white.
It was white. It was just, it would look like plaster. It was just so stupid. I wish I'll never ever watch that movie again.
Over the Top was the beginning of the end for Canon Films. They basically paid Sylvester Stallone so much money, and it drove the budget up to way more than they had ever spent on a movie. So their whole formula was gonna fail like this, because their whole thing was little money, fast production. This was a lot of money, slow production.
Yeah.
So it sucked up a lot of their money, and they wound up having to rely on revenue from the films they were making in order to fund all the films they had promised.
Yes. There was a lot of films they did not make. Like they acquired Spider-Man, the rights to Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
But they never released a movie because they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money for it.
Yeah, and they wound up owing so much money, and I remember he owed them. It was like they owed 500 million. How much?
Some crazy amounts.
He owed 50 million. He owed the bank 50 million, and he was pissed that he didn't owe them 100 million.
Yeah.
He's like, well, he was crazy. He's like, why do we only owe them 50 million? We need to owe them 100 million. You know what I mean? Because he just wanted to make the movies, and he was gonna die doing it. You know,
he was just wanted to make
I'm sure
films.
that he went through
That's
immense financial hardship after the collapse of Canon Films.
Oh, yeah.
But right after that,
because they parted ways.
They parted ways. Yeah, the two cousins, they couldn't work together anymore because
it was sad. It was sad for the documentary we watched. There were people who were saying it was like a sad thing. It was like watching, a divorce or something, because it was always. And they said that they both would work so well together that there's no way that they're gonna be able to do it on their own.
Yeah, Mm-hmm. They parted ways. They were cousins, and they each decided to go their own ways as far as filmmaking went. I don't know how their personal relationship was, but
I guess they had a falling out too. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had a falling out too. They just did not talk to each other anymore after that or something. But I think Menahem went to what was it called? 21st Century.
Yeah, he opened the 21st Century Film Studios.
Yes, he was a CEO over there, one of the founders.
And they started competing against each other, which is kind of cutthroat. They because he had, Yoram still had the Canon Films. And so Menahem opened his own company up. And I'm sure you guys remember the dancing craze of the 80s, the lambada. The forbidden dance. Lambada, the forbidden dance. They both decided to make lambada movies, because one thing about Golem and Globus, they would catch on to what the latest thing was, And then they would release a movie before anybody else could get to.
As fast as they could,
because they were so good at making movies fast. So like with the breaking, when breakdancing broke, they were the ones that threw the movies out there. And of course, Beat Street was trying to beat them to the punch.
Yeah.
They heard about Beat Street and still beat them.
It was not going to happen. Menahem was just driven, cutthroat.
And he knew how to beat the competition, and that was to try to get your product out there first. Even if it's a shittier product, people are going to consume it before yours. And perhaps if my product is shitty, they won't even consume yours.
Exactly. Oh, that is true. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, if mine sucks,
because if I watch a breakdancing movie, right, and the movie sucks, then I'm not going to bother with Beat Street because I'm not interested, in another movie about breakdancing. If I already saw one, not everybody. You might go watch Beat Street, but some people will actually be like, I don't want to do that. So he takes food out of their mouth by releasing the movie first.
And both of them, they were going to be, he found out that Yoram was going to be releasing a movie about Lambada.
The Lambada.
Yeah. So he went ahead, and they think that Lambada, Yoram
he released The Forbidden Dance.
The Forbidden Dance.
And the other one was called Lambada.
Yeah. And
Yoram's movie was called Lambada.
And Yoram's movie was done in 4 weeks, and Menahem's movie was done in 3 weeks, and they were released on the same exact weekend.
Yeah.
You went to go see the movie. Did you say? And you were like, wait, there's two movies.
Yes, I only saw the Forbidden Dance one in the movie theater.
That was the movie that had the song.
Yes, they actually, they had, both movies could not have the rights to the Lambada song, which is the song that the dance is about. And Menahem Golan wound up getting the rights to the song for the Forbidden Dance movie.
So it was like,
so right then and there, it was a huge blow to the other movie because, you go see Lambada, but there's no Lambada song.
And that's just fun. That was a funny movie. It was about the rainforest.
I liked the movie. I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
I don't know why.
It was just a silly. It was it was a Canon film.
It has Sid Haig in it as some chief, like a tribal chief or something. It's hilarious.
It's so funny.
Sid Haig, from House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
Don't you like clowns? Aren't we fucking funny?
He's so good. He's such a great.
He's awesome.
Great in that movie.
But like when you see him in this movie, and you're like, wow.
Yeah,
he's really a diverse actor because he's nothing like Captain Spaulding in that movie.
No, in that movie, the Lambada movie came out in 1990.
Yeah, it was in 1990.
And that was it. It's funny because Canon Films was kind of over then. You know what I mean? The Menahem, the Globum. I can never say it. Global Goddess.
Golden Globus.
Yeah,
Golden Globus. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, Golden Globus. Okay. Yeah, Golden Globus. Yeah, that was, it was the end of an era, but for a decade, solid. Yeah. These guys ruled the action movie scene.
You could not go to the movie theater in the 80s without the Canon Films having a movie at the movie theater. They always had a movie playing, a movie going.
He was Menahem Golan was such a go-getter. He even got the rights to Captain America, which is another comic book entity, of course. And he made a fucking horrible piece of shit Captain America movie. Right to VHS, video. Right. And ma'am, I never forget the day I saw it at the video store. I was like, Captain America in a movie? And I was a massive diehard comic book fan.
God, the guy who played Captain America, because I had to look it up because I was like, who's this guy? And it was in Revenge of the Nerds, not Ogre, not Stan, but it was like the other guy.
I don't even know who the fuck he is.
All
I know is that was another one of those movies that I took home all excited to watch. And even as a kid, I couldn't sit through it. It was so fucking bad.
I don't want to watch it. We don't have to watch it, do we? Oh, good, because I don't want to watch that one.
Never. I'd rather watch the Fantastic Four figure.
It was hard enough going through what is it, Masters of the Universe?
Yeah.
Sitting through that movie.
Another good point to bring up about Canon, we're all going to wrap up here in a little while, but one really good point to bring up about Canon Films is that they started making movies to try to distribute through MGM, because MGM was willing to sign a contract with them and perhaps take on some of their movies and distribute for them. And they cut that contract short because every single movie these guys submitted to MGM was pure shit.
Just crap.
And MGM was like, we need out of this contract because we're going to lose our ass here big time. Wrecked them. Yeah.
But they did. I would say that they did influence a lot of filmmakers to this day. Like I said earlier, Quentin Tarantino. If you watch his movies, you can tell he does a lot of homages to the Cannon films.
Absolutely. You got to have a lot of respect for these guys. Yes, they made fucking shitty movies,
but they were the first.
They're the kind of shitty movies that you're okay with.
You're okay with them because you go and you're trying to watch people, make believe on TV and everything, and it's so believable. Like the Twilight Zone, so believable. The actors have you here. Cannon films, zero. It's completely
zero believability. The acting's horrible. And a lot of other people couldn't act. Like Chuck Norris was a karate guy who was not really an actor.
Oh,
we'll teach him to act.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. They said that man was more worried about the way he looked,
and it's
than
obvious.
Acting, and you could tell because that guy is such a horrible actor.
He's a fucking terrible actor. Still. I'm rocking him on my shirt.
I do. We do. And that's another movie.
I am not by any means hating on
now,
Van Damme.
Bloodsport, we watch every 3 months.
Yeah. Cannon Films later on also made Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme. They also made Cyborg, which it deserves an honorable mention.
Cyborg
that was
movie.
A pretty big...
That actually came out really good. That was a well...
Yeah.
A good
it was
review.
a well-received movie, Cyborg. I remember it not being horrible, but again... It's Jean-Claude Van Damme acting.
And Cannon Films, so.
Yeah, and Cannon Films. That's not a good combination.
No.
That's a recipe for disaster right there.
Yeah. If you guys ever check out I believe it's on YouTube.
There's a really good documentary for you guys to just kind of absorb everything we've talked about.
Because if you want to know, to hear firsthand about Menahem Golan, hear the stories, you just will fall
Well, even about the documentary, there's a story. Because in his documentary, the documentary I'm referring to is called The Electric Boogaloo, The Wild Untold Story of Cannon Films.
We'll put the picture thumbnail thing here.
Yeah, I can put the thumbnail for you so you guys can check it out. I highly recommend you. It's a really good watch, even if you know nothing about Cannon Films. It's just super entertaining.
Yeah,
very well done documentary.
The Wild Untold Story of Cannon. That's a long name. Okay.
Because the documentary is about Cannon Film, of course they went over and asked Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus to participate, and they both declined. And the reason why is because they were making their own documentary about Cannon Films.
They were like, we're not going to be interviewed for this. We're going to put out our own.
In traditional Menahem Golan style, they beat this one to...
3 months.
Yeah, it was the release. Yeah, the release was 3 months prior to the one that I'm talking about.
Yes.
So they caught wind and they're like, not only are we not going to be in your documentary, we're going to make our own and we're going to beat you to it.
We're going to beat you to it. That is classic.
That is the way to go
Menahem.
out. That is the way to go out.
I love it.
I mean, this is recent. All right. This is 10, 15 years ago, maybe 10, that this happened. So
it's just classic. I love it. And we didn't see the
Go-Go. Show you.
Yeah.
I've never seen the documentary that they made. I want to see it.
Yeah, the Go-Go Boys. We tried to look it up on YouTube and it was it was dubbed. I don't know.
I don't know what the hell. But
the subtitles were in French. The subtitles were in French and then they were speaking a different language and then we just gave up. But anyways. Go see the documentary, the other documentary if you get a chance because it's good.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to sign off. I hope you've enjoyed the show.
Yes.
You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and any other streaming platform out there. Next time, coming up, we're going to be talking about another fantastic fantasy movie called The Never-Ending Story, which I'm sure you guys have heard about.
I love that movie. The song, there was like a hit 80s song. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely tune in next time. You're going to enjoy the episode.
Yay, thank you, everybody.
This episode.
Thank you.
We will see you next time.
Bye. Oh, my hair. I love it. I want to listen to this whole song.
Tell them to go fuck themselves.